entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
This is Vigilant Sports with Art Vigil and friends.
Rick, where'd you get a hand grenade?
Show me the money!
All I see is money, 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 money. All I see is money, 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 money. All I see is money, 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 money. Yeah. All I see is money, money, money. You got it, money. Hey.
What's up, Vigilant Sports fans? It's me, Art Vigil, and this is Vigilant Sports. If you only had a camera on me yesterday when I heard the rumors that the Miami Dolphins and the Jets were in the running to trade for Tyreek Hill, I was jumping around. I was getting goosebumps. I was pacing. And then when I heard the trade was made, I just ran outside and started screaming. I was so excited. That makes our wide receivers probably the fastest in the NFL. I mean, how are they going to cover Hill, Waddle, Wilson, Gesicki? They can't. Somebody's going to be open at all times. We're shoring up the O-line with Armstead and Williams, two new running backs, Edmonds and Mozart. I mean, we're basically a track team. But with all the offseason trades and new signings, that Greer and new head coach Mike McDaniels, everything falls on Tua. The pressure is on. There are no more excuses. We have Teddy Bridgewater that we signed backing him up. I hope Tua can actually make it happen like he did in Bama, but he has to stay healthy. All right, Tua, no more excuses. Okay, let's get to the interview. I'm interviewing 15-year veteran sportswriter Antwan Staley. He wrote for the USA Today, the Miami Dolphins, and the Carolina Panthers. He currently writes for the Oregon Ducks at Register Guard. He also writes for the NFL and Atheon Sports. Without any further ado, enjoy my conversation with Antwan Staley. Hey, Antwan, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Doing absolutely fabulous. As you know, I'm a Dolphin fan. We just made the biggest trade I can recall in years, besides Ricky Williams when Dave Wanstead did that, for Tyreek Hill from the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think?
I mean, it's definitely just a huge move. I definitely think that seismic style, because I think, that obviously the Dolphins have Jalen Waddle, so I definitely think having him team up with Tyreek Hill, somebody that both the guys can really blow the top off the defense, and then you still have Mike Gesicki. At the moment, you still have a Devontae Parker, and you also signed Cedric Wilson too. I think it's pretty big for just their offense in general. Getting Raheem Mostert for the 49ers, I definitely think that'll be a pretty big move for them. So, and they're kind of solidifying that offensive line too, even though it's still some work to do. They got to figure out a way to do that during free agency now with giving away so many draft picks. So, yeah, I definitely think it's definitely a good move for Miami. We'll see. I still don't know how good they are in the short term, but their offense will be fun to watch this year. So I definitely think it's something to keep an eye on this upcoming year.
What do you think Tua's thinking right now?
Well, it's all on me. They're putting it all on him. Like, it's it. Like, the excuses, people have been using excuses about how Tua hasn't been surrounded with weapons and the offensive line. And, yeah, I mean, it's all on him. That's basically what this boils down to. And the Dolphins still have 2 first-round picks next year. So if Tua's not the guy, then they can make an upgrade and draft somebody to come in and step in into, which will really be a great situation for a starting quarterback next year, whether it be the draft or maybe they decide to trade for a veteran. But yeah, I definitely think that's the kind of how the Dolphins wanted to do it. They wanted to put all surrounding pieces around to it and see if he can do it. And if he's not the guy, then they have the artillery to go out and get somebody.
No, I agree. I was talking to, I'm on a group text with a bunch of my buddies. Most of them were Niner and Raider fans. And they were saying, you gave up way too much. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. By the way, we have 2 first-round picks next year. So if Tua, no excuses, as you said, if he's not the man, we have Teddy Bridgewater as our backup. And we have 2 first-round picks next year. I hear, and you know more about this because I know you follow college basketball and football. There's some pretty good quarterbacks coming out, although that would still be a lot of pressure on a young quarterback, but we could always trade. I've been dreaming for years that we would get Rodgers, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think now with him re-signing, I definitely think that's definitely not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, you'll have a class of draft picks. If you want to go to Alabama route again, Bryce Young will be there, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. So yeah, I definitely think it'll be an opportunity for the Dolphins to get somebody in the draft next year, or maybe some kind of veteran as well.
Yeah, I mean, we could always keep Teddy Bridgewater as our starter next year, groom him just like they did with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, and then year 3 we'll still have Waddle under. I think that would be his fourth year.
Yeah.
So he'll be. I mean, he probably will want an extension, but he'll still be cheap, and some of the other guys still will be cheap as well.
Yeah, so I mean, Teddy could be a bridge to whoever is their starting quarterback will be moving forward. But yeah, Tua's gonna have to stay healthy. I mean, that's been a big thing throughout the course of his career, especially going back to Alabama. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, and obviously been the theme of his career in the NFL. But when he has played, he's been, I think he's an average quarterback. But we'll see how he plans out with parts around him. I'm not gonna be one of those guys that talk trash about Tua anything like that. But now I definitely want to see how he plays with a better surrounding cast around him, because like I said before, I definitely think it's no excuses anymore. They've definitely done more than enough to put around him, and it's up to just him to play better.
What do you think about the new head coach?
Mike McDaniel is somebody I liked. I thought it was a great hire. It's funny. He was definitely interviewed for the offensive coordinator gig under Brian Flores a year ago, and then ended up getting the head coaching job this year for Miami. Somebody that I know a lot of people talked about, what did he call plays, and I mean, obviously it's Kyle Shanahan's show, so obviously he had the final say on plays, but he definitely helped form the offensive game plan, and also did call some plays too for the 49ers as well. So I definitely think it's a great move. You're talking about a Dolphins team that has not had a great offense since dating back to the 90s and Dan Marino era. Yeah. Now you get a guy that's like his forte has been offense. Although we've seen the Dolphins go at the gurus before, I just kind of feel like this is a little different, considering McDaniel has the resume, as you will, of going to different places and working a lot of different teams, and just planning playbooks and schemes and things of that nature too. So I definitely think he'll put his own spin on things, and I definitely think it's a really good hire. It's going to be interesting to see how that defense plays to this upcoming year, because that definitely was a big catalyst for why the Dolphins had that late surge late on in the year a year ago.
Yeah, you're right. The defense didn't pick it up, but we also played really bad quarterbacks in the last 7 games. I think the only good quarterback we faced was Tannehill, and they wiped us up in a really cold game, but they wiped us up really bad.
Yeah, I mean, they did what they had to do. They beat up on some teams that were, questionable. I mean, they did beat the Ravens. They did a good job on Lamar Jackson, and that definitely kind of turned the season around.
That's a good point. They did kind of show the NFL, at least it seemed like it for a little bit. Although Lamar had a really bad year last year, considering his MVP and how he normally plays. But yeah, the defense did definitely step it up. What do you think Coach Flo's saying right now, or thinking?
I mean, he probably thinking, I wish they would have surrounded me with more pieces like that. But I mean, that's the bad thing about taking over a situation where they rebuild, because oftentimes you're not the person that sees the fruits of the labor all the way through. You're the person that kind of you build the foundation for the next person who takes over, and then they reap the rewards. That's the downside of it, because especially in sports where you're getting 2 or 3 years to succeed, and if you're not succeeding in that amount of time, then you're going to be out of there. And Flores had 3 years. Obviously, we know I don't think he got fired because the performance wise, although it was some other things front office wise that he ended up getting the ads. But I'm sure he's thinking, man, just another year. I think a lot of Dolphin fans kind of think, before they hired McDaniel, what if they had another year just kind of getting things right? What would that look like under Flores? But it's a new regime now, and I'm curious to see how McDaniel does this upcoming year.
Me too. He's exciting. He's a young coach, and he's been around. Really, really, really good coach and a good coaching tree. I've been a Dolphin fan since 1982, 80. Yeah, so I'm obviously probably a little older than you.
Yeah, a little
Um,
bit.
yeah, a little bit. And so I was a huge Dan Marino fan, although I was a fan prior to Dan Marino. David Woodley was there when I was a fan when they lost to the Redskins, and I think it was 1982.
Yeah, it was.
I've been under the belief since Marino left, although I started thinking this towards the end of his right before Jimmy Johnson joined, that the Dolphins are a better team when they run the ball. Primarily because one, the heat down there just kills everybody, and they have to go to New England, New York 3 times a year.
Yeah.
So when they were running the ball, again, we're way dating myself, although I think I was 1 year old when they were the 72 Dolphins with Zonka and Mercury and Click and all those guys. They were successful because they had a great defense and a great run. Bob Greasy wasn't the catalyst to those great teams back then.
Correct.
What do you think McDaniels is going to incorporate more running like the Shanahan system normally does?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, anytime, even if, you're a warm weather team like Miami is, you still have to, like you said, go up to Foxborough and go up to
Right.
Jersey and go up to Buffalo and play games. And, who's right. I mean, the Bills are the top dog in the AFC East, even still, I believe. So if you were to get one of those one of those playoff spots, it's more likely going to be, you're going to have to play on the road. So which means you're probably going to have to play somewhere that you're not accustomed to playing at, or weather that's not necessarily favorable to you. So in that stance, then yeah, you're going to have to be able to run the ball. And as you saw, with the 49ers and Shanahan and, especially playing in elements like Green Bay, you got to be able to run the football because it's not going to be picture-perfect conditions to always throwing the football. And they, with the 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo has had his ups and downs, but, they were able to overcome that and still be able to, make a Super Bowl appearance. So to play in AFC championships and things of that nature. So, yeah, I think that's kind of maybe the blueprint that maybe McDaniels is seeing, maybe Tua can do because, he may not be, he may not have to be a Justin Herbert or a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes. But if you surround him with enough talent, then maybe he can overcome and maybe the Dolphins can be good enough to get in those same positions.
Yeah, this is the best talent that Tua's had since Bama.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what they did. They surrounded him with
Yeah.
a lot of talent and, a lot of, tons of first round talent, offensive line and wide receivers. And, he was the guy. And a lot of people kind of say, well, they thought he was a great quarterback, which he was. He had a really great career, but he might have been aided by those top talent. And that's what kind of what the Dolphins are definitely trying to do as much as possible, as much as the cap and, the team, the NFL will allow anyway. But yeah.
Exactly. So when did you write for the in my, was it the Herald or was it?
I worked USA Today, Palm Beach Post, and a website called Pro Player Insiders. So I covered the Dolphins from 2013 to 2019.
So the coaches were what? Philbin, Gaze, and a little bit of Flores?
Yes, correct.
All right. Who is the best coach out of those three? And again, this won't be a whole Dolphin. We'll get to more stuff in a second, but I've never talked to anybody that had that much insight into the Dolphins. So,
I mean, in terms of just like being friendly, or we just talk about just like coaching
X's and O's.
I mean, Gase was. I mean, he could be a bit of a prick at times, but he definitely he knew his football. I think. My whole thing with him being hired was just he wrote the coattails of Peyton Manning, and I feel like that's kind of came to fruition with some of the moves that he had made. He didn't have that experience. Philbin wasn't bad either. It's just that he wasn't the trigger man in Green Bay. Obviously McCarthy and obviously Aaron Rodgers kind of ran the show. Yep. So you're asking a guy that's more like a position coach to be your head coach. Same thing with what Adam Gase went through too. Flores, I actually did like Flores. I think he still can be a really good coach. So I guess out of the three, I probably would pick him.
Okay.
But again, obviously, when you come into a situation when inexperience, although he had been a coach for a while, position wise, and for New England, but the Dolphins were just in such a down position. They wanted to rebuild, and you go from 5-11 to 10-60 next year, and then everybody
Right.
expects playoffs, and that's all everybody was saying. And then to have a disappointing season the way that they did, then I definitely think Brian Flores did as well as he could have in the position that he was put in for Miami.
Were you there when Fitzpatrick was there?
Yeah, the beginning of it, yes.
Okay. I contend that the reason why they benched Fitzpatrick in week, what was that? Week 4 or 5?
Yeah.
No, it was week 6 because I think they were 3-3. Is that one? They wanted to see what they had in Tua, obviously.
Yeah.
Two, two of the games that that Fitzpatrick threw 3 interceptions, they lost, and when he did throw interceptions, they won. And Flores was like, Tua is going to be not a gunslinger like Fitzpatrick, and we have a great defense and special teams. Let's see what he has, and let's play conservative. Did you get a sense of any of that? Because I've been telling people that for years, but you were there. So what do you think?
I just think that they do. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I mean, you could only get so far with him. Obviously, like you've had, like even in Tampa, he had his great runs.
Yeah.
Obviously, people talk about Fitz magic, but also his highs are really good. His highs were higher than Tua's at times, but also his lows are like rock bottom lows where he would throw multiple interceptions and really hurt your team with critical mistakes. So I definitely think the reason they did that is because they feel like they were as good as they're going to be with Fitzpatrick, and they felt like Tua had enough time, especially coming off the injury, to acclimate himself in the offense and decide, you know what, let's put him in and see what he can do, and just kind of throw him in water. And that's exactly what they did. So
Yeah.
that's why I think they ended up starting Fitzpatrick and then turning to Tua. Because I don't think they would have wanted to start the season right away with Tua, especially coming off that horrific hip injury.
Yeah, I know. I was actually shocked they even played him that year. I wish they wouldn't have, because I don't think his hip was ready to play.
Probably not, but again, it's one of those things where sometimes you just have to throw people in water and just hope they swim.
Yeah.
And I definitely think he was never probably going to be completely ready until they just got thrown in the fire, and I definitely think that's what ended up happening.
Well, I can tell you that's how I learned to swim. My grandfather threw me in his pool, and I was either going to sink or I was going to swim. So
Yeah.
I get it. All right. As you know, I can talk about Dolphins all day, and I would love to continue talking to Dolphins with you, but I know there's other things going on in the NFL or even the sports world. So let's get to free agency. Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield. Where's Baker going? Is he going to be cut? Is he going to be a backup? What do you think?
Well, I think if the Browns don't want to just eat like nearly $19-20 million worth of money, so they definitely want to try to trade him, even if it's like pennies on the dollar, just to get away from his contract. I mean, he's going into his last year of his rookie deal.
Yeah.
Definitely want to try to move on, especially considering he didn't want to be there anyway, even before you made the trade for Deshaun Watson. So if you're the Browns, you just want to get him anywhere. Right now, the problem with that is there's not a lot of jobs open.
Right.
And then you still got Jimmy Garoppolo. You still got that situation kind of in peril and trying to figure out where he might go. But the only two options seem like, to me, well, 3 options really. The Panthers have kind of ruled that out. But it's Detroit, maybe. He's probably not going to be happy to go to Detroit. The likely scenario where he will probably want to go is Seattle, where obviously they have a culture of winning outside of last year and Pete Carroll, and they don't necessarily, I don't know how much of Pete Carroll, 70-year-old Pete Carroll, wants to rebuild at his stage of his career. So, and I know they do have Drew Lock, but do you really want to go into the season with just Drew Lock? So maybe Baker, maybe, but then again, the Detroit and Seattle can also draft a quarterback. So
right.
They're in a situation where they don't have to take a Baker Mayfield. So he better hope one of those teams do want to come after him, because otherwise he might be a backup somewhere. He might just have to play behind somebody and hope they get hurt, or wait for the offseason, wait for training camp, and then hope somebody gets hurt and then the Browns could trade him.
So his he was not franchise. He was the fifth year option, right? So
They picked up the option, yes.
so
it's
that's what,
guaranteed.
19 million, 20
Yes,
million?
yes,
So if they cut him, they're on the hook for it.
correct. That's why they would prefer to just trade him for anything at this point.
Wow. But like you said, who's available? I mean, is Murray going to sit out and if he doesn't get his contract?
Maybe, but I definitely think they're probably going to get something done, especially when you re-sign Cliff Kingsbury, because I kind of think him and Kingsbury are kind of tied at the hip, especially since they have the same agent.
Oh, you know what? I did know that. Yeah. Or what about the other free agents? Why do you think, besides Carr was his best friend and played Fresno State with Adams, was there some animosity in Green Bay? He just wanted to get out.
I think he just wanted to play with his friend, maybe, and just
Okay.
just start new in Vegas too, as well. Obviously, him and Derek Carr kept it tight with each other throughout the course of the few years, and maybe he felt like, hey, maybe he didn't know how long Aaron Rodgers was going to play. That might also factor into it as well. He didn't want to sit here and be every single offseason be kind of held, hostage, saying, "Oh well, is Aaron Rodgers coming back? Is he not coming back?" Whereas
Right.
with Derek Carr, even though the Raiders haven't worked out an extension yet, he's going to be there for the foreseeable future. So I definitely think sometimes you just want to change, and I definitely think that's part of it why Adams wanted to move on.
Why do you think everybody's paying wide receivers so much money now? I mean,
I,
people used to call them the icing on the cake, and now they're getting quarterback money.
well, I think it's dependent on just the player, but yeah, I definitely think some of them can be game changers. Like a Tyreek Hill could definitely be game changer. Although I kind of want to see how he plays without Mahomes, because the Chiefs think Mahomes and Andy they can put anybody around Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and they'll be fine. And I tend to agree with that. But obviously, having a dynamic weapon like a Tyreek Hill definitely kind of hurts them a little bit. Although I still think the Chiefs they're gonna be just fine and probably be contenders in the AFC once again. But to answer your question, I just definitely think they can be game changers, and there's so much demand for a quality wide receivers around the league.
And all the rules seem to point to wide receivers not
Of
being scared
course,
to go over the middle. I mean, I remember the days where when you went over the middle, you were hit and hit hard.
yeah. Yeah, you can't really do that anymore. Just simply because the NFL, even if you make a clean hit on somebody, it's really hard. They don't tend to throw a flag on that simply because they think it's illegal because they're
Right.
not used to players doing that anymore, which I think is crap. But that's just kind of the way we are now.
Yeah, yeah. I do like the arena league type football that the NFL offense has become, but I do miss the hits. I got to be honest. When I see a
Yeah,
good hit, I'm like, ooh, yeah,
yeah, I miss that
get
too.
some, get
But
some. I jump up out of my chair or whatever.
yeah, I kind of miss it too. But that's just kind of how the nature is right now in the NFL. Everybody wants to try to preserve their body. That's why Tom Brady's been able to play as long as what he has. Like otherwise, I think 20, 30 years ago, he would not be playing right now.
Well, yeah, no, there would be no such thing as TB12, right? They didn't take care of their bodies as much as they do now. They don't have hyper whatever those breathing machines that they sleep in. So it's a little different. The food's better, the
Yeah.
workout better. So I get it. Trust me, Joe Montana or Dan Marino, if they were playing in today's game, they'd probably make you $50 million a year.
Oh yeah, no doubt. There's no question about that.
All righty. So AFC West have, I mean, it looks like there's nothing but stars on offense, even on defense, on all. Well, not maybe not Kansas City, but at least the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos. What do you think? Who's the best team in that division now?
I'm still picking the Chiefs until proven otherwise. I know teams have gotten better, but they don't have a Patrick Mahomes, and I think you can pretty much surround, especially if they get a top flight receiver in the draft. I think they may not be able to exactly, replace Tyreek Hill, but they'll be able to do some of the similar type things. So I like the Chiefs. I think as long as Mahomes is there, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna roll with them, but. Obviously, I don't think they'll dominate the division like how they once did, but I do think they're still the best team, followed by probably the Chargers and the Broncos.
So you think the Raiders are pulling up the rear?
Probably, yeah. I think the Broncos and Raiders are probably going to be fighting it out for fourth place. But I like Denver's defense probably a little bit more than I like the Raiders, although the Raiders offense is going to be pretty dynamic.
Yeah, it is. I agree. I hate to say it because I'm not a huge Raider fan. A lot of my buddies are, so I get to make fun of them. But well, they make fun of me. I'm a Dolphin fan, so we haven't won anything in 50 years. What do you think about Russell Wilson? I mean, I think that completes that team. They have running game. They have young wide receivers. Noah Fant, I think, is a top 10, 12 tight end, I think. But he went to Seattle.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I think
Denver's defense is the best in that division, I think.
correct. Yeah, I think the reason Denver was where they were just because I think their defense was really good. Obviously, Vic Fangio was a defensive coordinator, so he surrounded that defense and got that their unit playing really well last year. It's just the fact that they didn't necessarily have a offense that would be able to keep their defense off the field. And when you keep having to put your defense in difficult situations, obviously they're going to wear down. But to get a guy like Russell Wilson who can obviously move the chains and also doesn't turn the ball over, definitely they could be a huge benefit to them. And having Javonte Williams out of North Carolina, I think is huge. And Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamlin, I definitely think to be able to have that young talented wide receiver. And I think they just have to get the offensive line straightened out. But yeah, I definitely like where the Broncos are headed. So I definitely think they're going to be playoff contenders this upcoming year.
Yeah, I mean, the AFC, they're by far the best conference. And it's been a long time since they've really been the best, besides the Patriots in Kansas City, I guess. If I was, I don't mean to go back to Baker, but if I was Baker, I'd want to go to the NFC. He'd be like the top 6 quarterback in the NFC.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Who's better? So you have Brady.
Yeah, Aaron
Rodgers.
Rodgers.
You have Rodgers. You have
Correct.
Stafford.
Correct.
You have Murray, maybe.
Correct.
Dak.
Yes, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is better.
You're gonna throw Cousins in there?
Kirk Cousins is a much better quarterback. Like, people give him slack, but go look at the number. Kirk Cousins has been a top 10, 12 quarterback the last couple of years. It's not his fault the team defense has been terrible, but he's been good.
Okay.
He's really been good.
Let's go with that. So no, I don't disagree. Cousins in fantasy typically does well. Does he win the big games? Typically not. He's done better last year. He won against the Saints, his first playoff game. So let's say Cousins in 6. Who's 7?
Now that
Baker,
Matt
if
Ryan,
he was there, Ryan's gone.
Maybe,
Russ is gone.
I guess.
I guess Carson Wentz.
Probably him and Carson Wentz are kind of like hand in hand. I kind of think they're kind of the same type player.
They are. I agree with you.
So yeah, that's about right there.
So I was one off. All right. So let's say 7th, 8th. That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Basically.
All right. So let's see here. It's March. We've been talking football, so let's move into basketball because that's what it seems like. Well, it's March. What do you expect? That's what people normally talk about during this time. Except the NFL is kind of taking over the news, right? I mean, that's crazy. I don't remember that much. Again, we're going back to NFL. This many trades, this much activity. Been watching football a long time. You've been covering football a long time. Do you recall another offseason like this?
No, I don't think so. I think we always say this, it gets crazier and crazier, but yeah, truly it's been a really crazy offseason. Yeah,
no, and it's been exciting. Luckily that's content that just kind of comes to you, right? You don't have to really search for it or try to create it. It comes to you. All right, let's talk about the bracket. How many brackets are you running?
I just have one. I don't get into all the crazy, all 1,000,001 brackets. I just have one, and I can't keep up with more than like a few. So
let's see here. Want to go over some of the games? Who do you think is going to win? All right, so let's go with Gonzaga, Arkansas.
I think this could be one of the worst matchups with Gonzaga because I think Arkansas is a really, gritty team, and obviously we've seen them end up beating the Auburn team, who might have been a little bit overrated, but I think Arkansas is a much better team than what their number 4 seed is saying. So yeah, I mean they're going to get another tough game like they did against Memphis. I'm going to reluctantly pick Gonzaga, but if you're a betting person, then I probably would take Arkansas with the points here.
No, I agree with you on that one. Although I did pick Gonzaga to win, and I did pick Arkansas to make it this far. So pretty proud about that. My other bracket's not so good, but this first bracket, I believe it's the West.
Yes.
I picked both winners, all 4 winners. So I got Texas Tech and Duke. Who do you think wins?
We got experience versus youth.
Yep.
I'm going to go with experience. I think Texas Tech takes it. I think just the experience and having that team together for such a long time and the veterans on that team. Yeah, I'm definitely going to take Texas Tech in a very, very close game. That's probably going to be one of the best games of the weekend. So yeah, I like Tech in a close one.
I agree with you. I actually picked Texas Tech to win that one as well. All right, so this one I had originally Baylor and UCLA. Obviously, North Carolina won, which is where you're from. Who wins this one? I think I can guess, but go ahead.
Wait, between who? UCLA and North Carolina?
Yeah, North Carolina.
Hey, just because I'm from North Carolina doesn't mean I'm a Tar Heel fan. So
okay, that's right.
Duke is in North Carolina, by the way.
That is true. So, it is. No, I actually I had a buddy and his wife moved to Raleigh. And so when we went to visit, we definitely went to Duke, and then they got a place in Surf City, Topsail, I think this is the island or something like that. Yeah. So I love North Carolina. That's one of the states in the South that I would move to.
Well, you and everybody else is moving to North Carolina.
It seems that way, right? Yeah.
I think it's number 10 or 9 populated state in the country. So yeah, it's a lot of people, a lot of transplants moving there. But having said that, yeah, I do think the Tar Heels end up getting the win. I think they're hot right now. I think they're playing really well. I think that win against Duke at the end of the year gave them a ton of confidence. And they feel like they can beat anybody. So I'm going with the Tar Heels in a really good game against the Bruins.
I picked the Bruins, but I think it's based on how they've been playing. I wouldn't be shocked if the Tar Heels won.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Purdue versus the Cinderella St. Peter's.
Yeah. I'm going to take Purdue in this one, although, who's to count St. Peter's out at this point?
No kidding.
What they've done has just been tremendous, being the third number 15 seed to make it this far in the Sweet 16. But, yeah, I think Purdue kind of ends the Cinderella run and gets the pretty convincing win.
No, I'm right there with you as well. All right, a couple more here. Arizona, Houston.
Yeah, this is essentially a road game for Arizona because it's in San Antonio. So, but Arizona, that crazy game against TCU the other night, they're my pick to win the title. So I guess I had to keep rolling with them. But
yeah, you do.
Definitely a difficult matchup against a Houston team that has definitely Final Four experience of them going this last year. But yeah, I like Arizona slightly in this one, but it wouldn't surprise me if Houston were to get the upset.
Yeah, I picked Arizona on this one too, but Houston's been playing really well. And that overtime game with TCU, they've had 4 days off, so, and they're young. They should be fine, but still. Is the what's his name? The point guard, is he coming? Is he going to be back?
Yeah, I think he will be. Yeah, as far as I know.
Okay, cool. All right, next up we have Michigan, who took by Tennessee Volunteers out, which I'm not happy about, and Villanova.
I like Villanova, but again, what Michigan's been able to do, a team that I thought they didn't deserve to be in the field, but they proved everybody wrong, beating Tennessee last weekend in Indianapolis, and I think Dixon played really, really well with having a double-double. So yeah, I'm definitely going to I'm going to take the Villanova Wildcats in this one.
Yeah, I had Tennessee coming out of this one. I didn't have
I did too. So
yeah. I'm going to go with the hot team. I think Michigan, the way they've been playing, I didn't think they should have been in there either. But they're Michigan. What are you going to do? You got to have them in there.
Yeah.
Kansas. Who else is
Providence? Kansas. Providence.
That's right. That's another Cinderella, I think.
Yeah, well, Providence is the 4th seed, so
that's right.
They're kind of where they belong. So yeah, but I like Kansas, and Kansas is one of my Final Four teams. So I think the depth of Kansas and the talent is going to be a little bit too much for the Friars to kind of overcome. So yeah, I definitely like the Jayhawks in this one.
Yeah, the Midwest killed my bracket. Absolutely killed it.
Kansas has if they get past Providence, they'll probably be a heavy favorite against whoever comes out from the Iowa State Miami game.
Yeah. Well, I'm shocked the U's even there. I had them going out game one.
Another team that's hot, another team
Yeah.
that's super hot. I just felt like they would beat USC just simply because of the way they were playing. Almost beat a Duke team in the ACC championship and came in there with a ton of confidence, and it just gave Auburn the business there. But yeah, I like their team that doesn't turn the ball over, very ball dominant team. I like them to beat Iowa State, a team that tends to turn the ball over a lot and doesn't shoot a lot of 3-pointers. So yeah, I definitely like the U in this one.
Yep, I agree with you. All righty. Let's see here. Let's talk a little about how you started. How did you get into writing? What was the catalyst that led you down that road?
Well, basically, I have a degree in journalism. I have multiple degrees in journalism, so
Right.
that's kind of how it all started. But no, I started when I was writing in college, and
Right.
I just figured this might be something that I want to do, and decided, to go down this path. And I guess it was kind of the right path for me to go down. So, long story short.
Yeah. Was there something as a youth you were like, you were playing sports, or you just were, I don't know, you had a favorite newspaper or sports writer that got you going or got you excited about it?
Honestly, I didn't know I wanted to do this till I got to college, to be
Oh,
completely
okay.
honest. Because I mean, nobody grew up where I'm from was a sports writer or anything like that. I think that's why I kind of talk with people, and I think representation is very important
Yep.
because nobody. I didn't even know like really white sportscasters, more or less somebody that was black that was
Right,
doing
right.
this, and then
Or
uh,
Hispanic like I am.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, anybody like.
Yeah.
But now you see it all around. People are different shades and colors and backgrounds. But yeah, back in the 2000, even 2000, it's kind of like you just think it's not really attainable. You like how did they get that job? Like, yeah, I can't do this because you just think it's such. I mean, it is difficult, but you just think it's just so unattainable to do
Right.
it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't think I could do it. I wasn't even sure when I got out of college, but I just started writing then, and somebody offered me a job, and I just kept writing and writing, and graduated from college and ended up, getting the job covering the Dolphins, and everything just kind of happened from there.
Was that your first gig, the Dolphins?
No, I worked in college. I did like high school and
Okay.
stuff like that. Like I was covering other things while even when I was in college. So, and I went to East Carolina for undergrad, also went to Syracuse for my master's. So yeah, I
Nice.
covered them for a little bit too as well.
Very cool. So how many contacts in all these areas how does that work? How does Adam Schefter, and you might not know this, I'm sure, well, maybe you do because you probably have contacts all over the place too. How does he always get the breaking stories? Is he
Well,
is he that
basically,
connected?
basically the agents contact him and Ian
Okay.
Rappaport, and then the filter news filters from there. Like they deliver the news to them, and then they deliver the news to the beat writers, and then it just goes down in a ladder, if you will. So when people say, "Well, how come the local beat writers don't get the story first?" Because they typically don't give the story to the local beat writers first. They give it to the national guys, and
Right.
then they give them a little bit of a perk and all that. So if you see like a Drew Rosenhaus, like Anna Scheffler, giving props saying Rosenhaus announced it was because his team texted Adam Scheffler that it happened, and
Right.
then typically after that, then it's local beat writers or whatever, or other beat writers may just get confirmation that it may happen. So that's to answer your question. That's kind of how it happens.
So did you hear earlier before us lame people that don't have contacts or on Twitter that this trade with the Dolphins and Hill was already in like getting close?
I didn't know about this trade till this morning.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
like, I don't think I knew, I knew they were working, the Chiefs were trying to work on a deal with them, but I didn't think it would be the point of no return until trading until early this morning. And then I'm like, okay, they're really going to go through with this. So, yeah, he's in the final year of his contract. So I guess they decided they wanted to try to get something, and they got a lot in return.
Yeah, they did 5 picks. But like I said, we have two next year. We gave them our first, second, fourth
I think.
this
Yeah.
year, right? And then
Yeah.
next year, fourth and sixth, if I remember straight.
Yes.
5. The Dolphins Greer must think we're close.
We'll see. It remains to be seen, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I think their offense is gonna be really good. I think the Bills are still the top dog in that division, and it's gonna be extremely hard to get a wild card, especially in the AFC. But you got to go for it sometimes, and I'm not mad at them for going for it.
No, I agree. Tua is on his rookie contract. Waddle, I was so impressed. Although, again, I've been watching Bama for the last, it feels like, since Tua's been there. And probably even before when A.J. McCarron was there.
Yeah.
I had a couple of friends that one went there, and then I had a friend of his daughter went there. And because I hate Nick Saban for what he did to the Dolphins, I'm not, his famous press conference, I'm not going anywhere. I'm the head coach of the Dolphins. And then I think 20 to 48 hours later, he was introduced as the Alabama head coach. And I was just so freaking mad. He's and I tell a story all the time. If I ever see him in an airport, I'm punching him in his face.
Hey, I mean, I can't be mad at him. I mean, it wasn't really working out well with the Dolphins. Maybe he probably should have handled it a little bit better, but
right.
It's not like he was going to say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Alabama right then." So
yeah, I know, but still, I mean, come on. How about you not pick up Dante Culpepper with a really hurt knee and not pick up Drew Brees?
Well, I don't think that's all on him. I think from what I've been told, and even with interviews he had done, he kind of put some of the onus also on the Dolphins medical staff too.
Yeah,
so
I heard that.
That's kind of what they had told him. So I can't necessarily, if somebody medically tell you not to sign somebody, then I probably wouldn't have signed them either.
Yeah, that's fair, but it's easier to blame Nick Saban.
Yeah, I get it.
And because my buddy's daughter, she graduates this year. I've had 4 years of just having battles with her, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oregon, how did they lose to Texas A&M? I didn't get a chance to watch the game, but
I did not watch that game because I was doing the women's had a game at the same time, so I was watching the women's basketball game. But it's been a tough year for the men. Obviously underachieving, going to the NIT, just lack of leadership, and Dana Altman felt like it's time for some changes there roster wise. So that's kind of what it boils down to. So hopefully they'll get some changes, and we'll see what that team looks like moving forward.
Oh, that's right. You cover the women's and the men's football team.
Yes, I did some men coverage too, especially in the Pac-12 tournament. But yeah, mostly my attention is towards the women's basketball.
What do you think about Mario bolting to Miami, to the U?
It wasn't a surprise to me. When he said after the Pac-12 championship when they lost to Utah the second time in 3 weeks, then the way that press conference went, I knew he was leaving. Like I knew it then because he couldn't sit up. He couldn't give a straight answer, and he could have said, "Well, I'm staying with Oregon" and all this, but he said they were waiting. He was waiting on a deal that they try to match, give him a contract extension or whatever the case was, and problems with his mother too. His mother ended up passing away recently, but she was really sick in November. He ended up having to fly from Eugene to Miami to kind of take care of her and look after her and be there for her. So at that point, I kind of was like, yeah, this might get a little bit serious because, anytime somebody's pulling on the heartstrings to come back home and your mother's not necessarily doing well, I definitely thought it was probably the time for him to go, and it certainly was.
Yeah, no, I did not know he was actually from there when he made the move.
Yeah.
I obviously read it after, but
Yeah.
he was the best coach since Chip Kelly.
Yeah, basically. Well, yeah, they had Mark Helford and a year of Willie Taggart, and then he took over, and he guided them to 3 straight Pac-12 championship appearances, 2 championships. But yeah, it was definitely some good times there in Oregon. But yeah, I think a lot of people are looking forward to Dan Lannon and see what he can do, because a lot of people feel like Oregon is a team that's been on the cusp of winning a national championship without actually doing so, and they believe Dan Lannon might be the guy to be able to do it, especially considering his defenses when he was at Georgia.
I was going to say he was amazing in Georgia, except for that the SEC championship game against Alabama. Other than that, he was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't also his fault. The offense was kind of struggling too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
but defensively, yeah, I definitely think it was, but you had one, mishap in the course of a college football season. That's not necessarily nothing to sneeze at all.
Yeah, I know. Now, I was so excited for the Ducks when they beat Ohio State last year. I was like, ooh, they're coming to play.
Yeah, I thought everybody thought, yeah, this team was ready to contend for a title, and they ended up losing to Stanford, and then got smoked by Utah, and that pretty much ended their championship hopes.
That is correct. I can't believe they lost to Stanford. Utah was good. They're a good program, but Stanford, they hadn't been playing well in a while. So
Yeah, it was kind of some things that happened in that game, but yeah, it's definitely a game you should have won.
So we have USC with Lincoln Riley. How is he going to affect the Pac-12?
I mean, I think USC is going to be good sooner rather than later. I don't know if it'll be this year. I still think Utah's the best team, especially with all the veterans that they have coming back. But it'd be fun to see USC good and compete in the Pac-12 again. But they're off to a great start, especially recruiting wise. So I definitely think USC could. It wouldn't surprise me if they win probably about 9 games this year.
Is who's the owner of Nike? I always for Phil.
Phil Knight.
Phil Knight. Is he going to be taking advantage of the NIL?
Well, they already have. I mean, I think
have
they've
they?
done a great job with. Oregon is one of the first programs in the country to have a portal of stars, like just an individual portal that companies can go in and actually talk to recruits and players that, hey, you want to do a deal with such and such company. And it's pretty cool. Like it's not been done in any other program in the country, and yeah, they've done a lot of big things there with NIL.
So it's like a marketplace for
Yeah.
the businesses and the players to gather and communicate.
Basically, yeah.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Who built that software?
I have no idea. That's
whoever built that software better be selling to other. I mean, you can make a fortune on that.
Yeah, I imagine other programs will probably follow. But yeah, that's a great idea. And they just didn't do it for football; they did it for all their sports.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's Nike.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Nike had something to do with it, but obviously the University of Oregon and the funding that they have was a big part of it.
So will they win the Pac-12 this year?
Or football?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Utah. I think they lost a lot, especially Thibodeau and Hargrave and stuff like that. Ron McKinley, excuse me. Some of the other people that they have there. So yeah, I think Utah's probably the best team.
Not that anybody from the Oregon Duck team or players are going to, or coaches are going to be listening to this podcast, but is it okay for you to say that if you're covering them?
Well, yeah, I hope so. I hope people don't expect me just to be a homer. I mean, it's not.
Right.
It's not like I went to school there or anything like that. But yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. All right, we've been talking for about 48 minutes. I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. Couple more questions. I noticed that you say you love hip hop.
Yeah, I do.
On your bio, who's your favorite?
Just all time. I mean, like favorite rapper.
Well, top 5. It would be really easy to go top five, but I won't do that.
Well, I can do a top 5. I mean, basically, like some order. Jay-Z. I think Nas is there. I always say Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. And for me, I struggle. Like it's either between number 5 is always either between like Scarface for me or LL Cool J. I feel like those two are just among the best of all time. So that would be my top 5 or 6, whatever you want to frame it.
Wow, you got some old school love going. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I grew up on. So
very cool. I was waiting to hear Chance or Drake or Kanye.
Nah.
He's like, nah, man, that's not my style.
Nah. I mean, if we're doing top 10, I would throw Kendrick Lamar in there, but outside of that, nah.
Yeah, I many years ago, I took my son to see Drake here in the Sacramento area. I think it was at Davis, and AC Rocky and Kendrick opened up for him. And it was awesome. I'm like, who are these guys? And my I think my son was in high school. He's like, I don't know, like they're awesome.
I was gonna say, I think Drake is more of a pop type
definitely
guy. I mean, it's no slight in that, but I just think he's more like, our entertainer, one of the best of all time, really, if you look at just kind of the hits that he's coming out with and the money that he's making. But it is him as an overall MC, which he can rap, but I just think it's other people that are, will be a bit, I would rate higher, put it that way.
I agree with you 100%. And when he made that Tootsie Roll TikTok song, I'm like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that. All right. NFL draft real quick. Who do you think? Where do you think Willis is going? Malik.
I think I'm going to say the Falcons. I think they signed Marcus Mariota, but he's suffered a lot of injuries throughout the course of his career and hasn't played in a full 16 games, I don't believe. So I think you have Marcus Mariota start the season and just kind of groom Willis until it's time for him to play, and then I definitely think he'll end up starting sooner rather than later. So yeah, if he just gets past the Panthers, then I think the Falcons will take him at 8.
Yeah, who would the Panthers take? They need a quarterback. I mean,
they do.
They have
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. He went to Auburn. He played for the Patriots. Always forget his name.
Cam.
Is Cam not there anymore?
Well, yeah, he's unsigned. He's a free agent.
Oh, he's a free agent.
I don't know if he's going to come back or not, but I imagine they'll address it somehow. I don't know if it'll be through in the draft, but they could also take Kenny Pickett, who Matt Rule has a close relationship with too, as well.
Yeah, but they start complaining about his hand size, which I know for some reason is a big deal, but Michael Vick had the same size hands as
Joe Burrow did too, and
so
I think it's fine.
I think they did okay, right?
Yeah, I think they're all right.
All righty. Hey, again, I really appreciate you joining the podcast. Do you have anything you want to promote?
No, you just follow me at Twitter, Antwan Staley, and just find my work there.
And you write for
the Register Guard and also Athlon Sports too as well.
How often do you? How many articles or postings are you doing these days?
I have no idea. Oh, you mean just a day?
Yeah. Let's go a week. How many do you per week?
I have no idea.
Just that many, huh?
Yeah, it just varies. I don't know. It can be anywhere from maybe 10 to 15 at times. Sometimes more. Right now it's probably a little bit more of a downtime because football's not going on.
Right. Wow, are you coming up with a content creation of what you want to write about, or do you have an editor saying, "Hey, we're going to talk about this," or "I don't want you to write about that"?
Basically, I come up with stuff that I want to talk about.
Do you have your own blog?
Nah, I don't feel it. Hell, I write enough as
you write enough. Yeah, exactly.
I don't feel like I need to. I don't need to have one.
And I know I follow you on Twitter because we've been going back and forth a few times. How often are you on Twitter?
I mean, every day. So
every day.
Anyways, yeah, that's kind of what a news breaks. So yeah, definitely down there quite often.
Very cool. That's funny. No, me too. I spend more time on Twitter than I probably should. But
yeah, probably yeah.
Well, what I've done, I've gotten, I would say 90% of my political stuff off there. So I don't want to get bogged down by negativity. I wanted to be my sports channel, basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I feel you.
Hey, it was really nice meeting you. I really appreciate you taking the time again. And let's get together soon.
All right, that sounds good. All right, you take it easy.
You too.
All right.
All I see is money, 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 money. Yeah. All I see is money,